The letter of the day is B. I am standing in B Penthouse at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and B is also the first letter of bump. And I've been telling you since the test, Fernando Alonso is in huge danger of getting bumped. And today, the reason probably why you clicked on this video if you're a new subscriber, is that Fernando Alonso was the first driver to make wall contact today. Oh boy, code red, because now there have been 3 days, no more than 12, 16 hours of running. Actually, I think it's 18 full hours of running for the teams that have not had any incidents yet available to them. Fernando Alonso has had mechanical issues the first 2 days. The April test, mechanical issues. Those were electrical issues. Then we get to yesterday. We have the gearbox failure as well as the clutch failure. Today, we have human error. Pushes wide in turn 3. Alonso admitted this, that it was just a driver error. He was pushing too hard, trying to get too much out of the car. Hit the wall, got into the inside wall, lucky not to take off, and then back up into the outside wall. Really major crash, and one that has necessitated that they have to go to a backup car. Now, the backup car's chassis history is one that's not quite as good as the one that Fernando crashed. The car that Fernando crashed was a brand new car built in the McLaren Technology Center in England. This car now that Fernando appears that he's going to be using for the rest of this month of May is going to be a car that originally was with Carlin Racing. Not exactly sure when it was built. It's reasonable to assume it's a relatively new car. It's probably not one that was built at the debut of the chassis type in 2012, but it's not a new car, and obviously it wasn't their first choice to go with. So, man, I don't know. This has gone from, it was a funny meme at the beginning, then it was a bit of a coincidence when yesterday they had the same problems that they had at the test, and now there's no more coincidence. McLaren is struggling. They may struggle to qualify, and right now I can't, at the beginning of this day I said 50-50 shot that they make the field or they don't. I'm starting to move closer to 25-75 that they don't make the race. And if they do make the race, any chance of them winning is really starting to go by the wayside quickly. And this is something I didn't mention at the end of yesterday's video, but Pato O'Ward didn't complete his rookie orientation practice at the end of yesterday because he had an electronics issue, the same issue that befell Alonso at the test. So Carlin Racing not having a great go of it, and it's reflecting pretty poorly on McLaren right now. And I'm trying not to be too harsh on the team, but I need to call it as I see it, and that's how I see it right now. It's looking a lot like they should have gone with Juncos Racing, a Chevy-powered team which absolutely has no sponsorship right now, and they're sat in the middle of the field, running in the pack, logging laps, and doing well. We had another crash today. Felix Rosenqvist for Ganassi Racing crashed over here in turn 2. I don't want to make too many jokes about it because it was a pretty bad crash where he got up into the outside wall, then came back and hit the inside tire barrier. But one of the things that I really wanted to touch on about this was that Ed Jones yesterday had the fastest no-toe speed, meaning theoretically he is the favorite for pole. He crashed in that corner last year, got fired, and his replacement did the exact same thing. Funny how that works. But we had the two drivers that I would say probably have the biggest amount of European interest going into this race, finding the wall. I don't know. It's kind of fascinating from that perspective. Unfortunately, I'm using my phone this time, so I don't have the no-toe times, but I do have the top 5 and the bottom 5 for today, and make of that what you will. Speeds were not as high as they were yesterday. Joseph Newgarden at 228.8. We didn't see anybody hit 229. Scott Dixon at 228.8 as well, just a little bit off of Joseph Newgarden. Piggott in P3 at 228.6. Santino Ferrucci. A lot of people were bashing on me for putting him on the starting grid ahead of Alonso, but he's at 228.5. And rounding out the top 5 at 228 miles an hour is Helio Castroneves. We also had Bourdais and Veach above 228 miles an hour. And actually, Charlie Kimball, we've been talking a lot about Carlin. Charlie Kimball's the lead Carlin car right now at 227.4 in 8th spot. We move down to the bottom of the field. These are the guys that we might be looking at and getting bumped. This is interesting because without the no-toe times in there, Alexander Rossi is 34th, Pippa Mann is 35th, and Ben Hanley is 36th. That being said, every car at the bottom of the list right now is in the 224 mile per hour bracket. There's nobody way off the pace. The field is spread out by 4 miles per hour. So, and looking at Alonso, by the way, Alonso is at 225.4 in the short amount of time that he was running. The field is very close, and that is something that, you know, a lot of people have asked me about yesterday, and I didn't feel as confident in talking about it as I maybe do today, and that is, how are the cars going to race? A lot of the time last year we saw, because they took so much downforce off the cars, particularly at the front, when a car would follow another car, you would see aero push. Cars wouldn't be able to get behind each other. In my observation, it looks like the cars are running a lot closer together in the corners, and that is going to help the racing. When you get down to the end of these long straightaways, the closer you are to the car ahead of you coming out of the corner means the more effective time you're going to have in the draft, and the potential that you can pull out and pass somebody as you get down here into turn one. So it looks like to me that the passing is going to be better. It reminds me actually a lot of 2017. Looking at the pack drafting that we've seen at the end of the practice sessions today reminds me a lot of 2017. So I think we may see a similar race to that. But again, we're only 2 days in. It could change tomorrow, you know, with a weather change. But yeah, Joseph Newgarden, I think, at least in my mind, has been the favorite going into this. I think he's the guy who may have a shot at the victory. Right now, it looks like that's proving true. Again, I kind of was thinking that before we saw practice. I'll tell you what, the guy who looks like he has the best car and can pass anybody at any time is Ed Carpenter. Doesn't really surprise me. He's the guy who I think felt like he really lost the race last year and really kind of wants to right that wrong. Looks like Andretti Autosport is back. Colton Herta as well with the Harding Andretti team is right up there. So it looks like there's going to be some Honda cars mixing it up along with the Penske and Ed Carpenter Racing show. And also, Ed Carpenter Racing is doing something that I have observed that they've never done before, which is running the group a lot, running the pack. Piggott, Carpenter, Jones, they're all going out there. They're all running in the pack, trying to get traffic running for the race, because I think that's where they lost the race last year with Carpenter. Once he got passed for the lead, he couldn't get it back. So that has been the Day 2 report here at Indy 500 testing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all the support. A lot of people were happy that there's some sort of YouTube coverage. I hope I've added to that and made your Indy 500 viewing experience a little bit better, kept you informed. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe for more Indy 500 reports like this, and we'll see you in the next video.